Well, hello again, everybody, and this is Phil Kilcrease coming to you with another founder story. Today we have Maureen Botoman with Hivemind Crafters. How are you today, Maureen? Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Phil. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic today. I've already done my gym and my smoothie, so I'm not a complete train wreck today. We're on track. So, tell us a little bit of what is Hivemind Crafters? Are you beekeepers?
No, we're a small batch coffee roasting business.
Ah, okay. Go ahead.
We focus on doing small, customized roasts to create more individualized coffee experiences.
I see. More individualized. So you are custom roasting by the customer then? Is that what that means?
That's the goal. So far, I've been kind of working on getting a better grasp of control in terms of the ranges of coffees and the roasting style I'm using, but I would like to be able to create individualized batches based on people's individual preferences, personalities, that kind of stuff.
Very cool. So right now I imagine that you'll be able to develop a menu that is, oh, I like light medium with a hint of X. So, is that kind of the goal for customized, or is like true customization, like however long something needs to be roasted, that kind of thing?
I would like to have kind of a mix of both in terms of having a set group of roasts where we can help people figure out what they like. So you go into like a fancy coffee shop and they have a wall full of things. You're like, I don't know what's going to be in these bags. And so creating a way for people to identify what they would like, but then also offering the ability for them to say, well, I liked this one, but it was a little bit darker than I'd like. I like the bean style, but maybe I want that, and be able to do small batch roast for them.
I see. Oh, and then smaller batches, so it is of lower. There isn't as much of a buy-in cost for the customer in case it isn't something they like. So
Exactly.
excellent. And how long have you been doing HiveMind for so far?
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So this is still brand new. How many different roasts have you done so far while starting to refine your craft?
I have two that I think are coming together really well, and a third that I'm working on. I did a couple batches of this weekend.
So in you're not having like a mega coffee roaster like say locally Salt Lake Roasting Company or Rose or something like that. So what exactly are you doing and where are you getting your coffee beans from?
So what I'm doing is one of the at-home ways to do coffee that is luckily able to be covered under the Cottage Foods Act, so I can do it in my kitchen legally, which is nice. Using those whirly pop popcorn makers. So, you know, those things from like the 60s, and they have the crank handle on the side and they turn. I do that on my stovetop.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I have a really cool little thermometer that like logs over time so I can monitor the temperature throughout. And so I've been roasting using my little whirly pop popcorn makers there, my timer and my thermometer, and then coffee beans actually when they get hot enough they crack kind of like popcorn, and that's kind of how you know they're good to drink. So it makes like a really cool popping noise, and that's fun. And so you kind of monitor when that happens, what temperature it was when you put it in, all those other things, and come up with lots of fun graphs. And then I'm getting my beans right now from a site called Sweet Maria's online. It's kind of one of the big home roasting companies. When I did my research as to who to buy beans through.
So the home roasting is a thing then.
Yes.
It isn't just something that is done by a small group of people.
I wouldn't say it's a huge group of people. I did my first kind of home roasting like maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I was like, wait, is this a thing that's possible? And I went and looked, and the internet is full of people who are apparently nothing better to do than like crank their popcorn cranker thing. And apparently it's a thing.
That's crazy. So the fact that it's been around, the industry is there, so known cottage industry already. What drew you to uh, roasting coffee for people?
So I like a lot of things that have a certain degree of subtle complexity where like in coffee roasting, there's different regions that beans can be from. Even within those regions, different soil types, different temperatures, different ways of processing the beans, whether they're processed wet or dry. And then once you have just your raw inputs in terms of the variables, then you throw on a whole different like set of roasting techniques. Like, what temperature did you choose to put the beans in? How quickly did you raise the temperature over time? How long do you let them roast after the first crack? That kind of stuff. So there was just a lot of inputs, and that always makes an appealing project for me because I like recording data. And so I was thinking about, I knew I wanted to work on an actual processed good. In terms of a physical thing. I come from a software background. I'm used to bringing products to people that you can't hold. I wanted to bring a product to someone that was tangible. And I was pretty sure I wanted to be in food. I love food. I love making. And so I was thinking through what I knew I could work on that would not get boring anytime soon. And I know how to roast coffee. I'll totally do that. And so I kind of landed on roasting coffee from there.
Excellent. So you're also a data wonk as well. I'm right there with you. When I was running my Kickstarter campaigns, it was always like, okay, how many backers today? And when were they coming on? And what does it mean? And sometimes it means absolutely nothing, but it still makes beautiful data. So like beautiful charts and such. But in this instance, there isn't any background noise necessarily, because it sounds like the process itself, even in something as simple as how quickly you raise the temperature, can have very different results. So what has been one of the things that in learning this process, what was one of the hardest things to overcome initially when you were starting out? Even let's say when you first learned about roasting coffee, what was one of the things that was a little surprising?
So, I mean, there's a lot of different people on the internet saying a lot of different things about what's your ideal drop temperature, what's your ideal this, what's your ideal that. And especially when I was just doing it like totally randomly in my apartment, I never had time to get all these things close enough together to figure out who I actually thought was right out of those groups. So that's the nice thing right now in terms of I'll get big bags of the same beans and like adjust things by like a little bit each time and notice differences. So I'm able to do large batches side by side. So that has been a challenge, is just figuring out who to listen to, and the answer is probably no one, or some combination of everyone somewhere in there, and really try to get that straightened out. It's been interesting. Also, it's such a sensitive process. I mean, it's a 200-degree difference in terms of like where you start. You maybe drop around 200 to 250 degrees and raise it to like 300 to 450 degrees. So it's like a pretty narrow range over like maybe 10 minutes tops. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it can be affected by everything as much as like it's raining today, so or not today, but in general, if it were raining, that would have an impact. Or it's a cold day versus a hot day, so the beans sitting in the bag are at a cooler ambient temperature because my house is colder. So there's just a lot of stuff where you can be like, I'm looking at the graph and everything's exactly the same, and it's totally different at the same time.
Wow. So it's all, that sounds almost like you're making the sauce for eggs Benedict, that it just, some days just are not good for roasting coffee, almost. Yes. Literally. Just
That's
from
kind of what I figured out.
Crazy. So do you now check that stuff? Has that been worked into your processes of, oh, it's a little colder today, so I'm going to bump up the temperature in where I store the coffee beans? Or do you pull them out? Is there extra preparation that's taking place?
Sort of. So one thing I think about if it's a really cold day, from what I've read, is that you don't want to have a really high drop temperature in terms of the temperature you put the beans into the pot at, because that temperature difference will be too great. So you have to just then put them in a cooler drop temperature and then increase the temperature faster, or else you burn all the water out of the beans right off the beginning. And then so they're like super fragile, and you scorch them right off the bat before they've ever done anything useful, and then you end up with bad coffee.
And yet you end up with the dregs of like a Folgers can or something. Yeah. Far worse. I imagine you haven't drank Folgers or something like that in a very long time. Not when you can make your own with a popcorn popper. That's so dang cool. So in scaling up, So would you just get another whirly popper and just have two of those going on the stove at once, or what would be the next step? Saying that you find a few good roasts and start refining your ability to process.
So I've been looking into real equipment. The most real roasters are created as commercial equipment, which means that you lose your cottage permitting, which is really nice to have. So there are a couple residential drum coffee roasters, which is like the standard variety, that are actually pretty good. They're priced around $1,000. They have really good reviews online. Those are actually programmable, so they can increase your temperature along profiles. You can export it all to a CSV file. That kind of
Oh,
stuff. So I would think if I can find a few good things that work and maybe make a couple sales, validate this a worthwhile idea, I will be investing in one of those.
excellent. And then you'll be able to make more coffee for yourself too. So,
Yeah, not that I don't have a house full of it right now.
oh, you don't have a what to live in? I apologize, I missed that.
Or I have a house full of coffee, sorry.
Oh, you don't have a house full of coffee right now, and then you will. And just more if people, you're going to be selling it though, so that's all good. Um, in your testing, what are some of the first steps you're taking in getting the testing going now that you have samples, I'm guessing, and you've distributed those? What are the next steps?
So right now, I just distributed a bunch of samples on Monday, around 10 different to 10 different people. So I'm kind of just letting that feedback come in before I do many more roasts. I'd like to see kind of what people say, because before that, it was like the immediate friends, and generally I was sitting in the room when they tried it, so it's not an unbiased group. So it'd be nice to see when people have like more anonymous web feedback ability, what's actually said, what people prefer. I gave out 3, the one I'm working on, and 2 that I think are close to good, though I think they have some work to be done too. So yeah, I guess that right now I'm kind of in a bit of a holding pattern. I started working on a website. I bought a domain name like 5 minutes before this call, so that's big.
Hey, that's all. It all rolls together over time. So what is it? Hivemind Crafters for the domain name?
Hivemind.coffee.
Hivemind.com. Oh yeah, because the custom domains, the custom end of the URL is now a thing. So
I'm an impulse buyer of custom TLDs too. I was looking through my Namecheap, and I probably own 20 domains, because every time I find something cool, I'm like, I want to buy that, and then they're like $5, and you're like, I can buy
that. Most excellent. What's your most whimsical one that you've bought?
I have the mountain where the .in is the last 2 letters of the word.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make an adventure blog, and it went in a list of things I'll probably never actually accomplish, but I bought a domain for it, which kind of counts.
It's the start. It's the wedge in the door of your mind. So, well,
Most things can start a domain name and a logo, and that's kind of the end of it.
yeah. Oh, those are fun things to do though. So they aren't necessarily getting the work done though. Whereas with Hivemind, you absolutely are getting the work done. You're on the ground in the trenches getting these beans roasted. You're getting samples out there. And have you gotten any feedback yet? Has anyone filled out the surveys?
That's a great question. I read some about a lot of sociology in college, and one of the things you're not supposed to do is look at survey results while they're still coming in, because you'll end up with an unbiased skew. So I'm like trying to use all my self control and give people at least a week before I start checking on things. So I have literally no idea. A couple people have told me they've tried it and that they are like double checked the URL with me. So I'm assuming some people have taken it, but I'm not sure.
Excellent. And I have someone who will be giving you feedback as well. I'm going to follow up with them for you. So, because I'm not a coffee person myself, I like the way it smells. My car smelled delightful while I was delivering it. But she was excited to try it for you.
I appreciate getting that out.
Hey, absolutely. Happy to give a helping hand. Well, as we're wrapping up here, did you have any other final thoughts or words of advice for folks who are wanting to get down in the trenches with you and start up their own business?
I'd say don't worry about what you're working on being the thing you want to do forever. Instead, think about something that you could do that would be a good learning experience for your next steps in life.
Excellent. So not the be all end all, and just make it more of a journey. I like
Yep,
that.
I'll have 4 or 5 different careers. I'll live to be old enough. I can figure it out later.
Well, most excellent. Thank you so much for your time today, Maureen, and you have a phenomenal rest of your week.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil.